While New Vegas was in its infancy of being reestablished by Mr. House, a number of tribes decided not to agree to his conditions of ruling over the city. One of these tribes would later become the Kings. They are the unofficial protectors of Freeside, protecting and upholding freedom for all the residents within the district. Their story begins with a young scavenger from this tribe, who stumbled upon an old building in Freeside that was full to the brim with paraphernalia of a man that seemed to have been worshipped by its pre-war inhabitants. This man was an ancient black coiffed deity of considerable style and singing talent known as the King. Feeling divinely inspired, this scavenger took on the name and appearance of the pre-war king himself, along with a new philosophy of respect and personal freedom. His new self inspired and awed the rest of his tribe, who also began to call themselves kings and dress in a similar style to the pre-war king. They dressed in denim, used hair gel, and sported black leather. This young scavenger, who became the head king, was born in the mid-2240s, and grew up as a member of a small tribe that would become what we know as Freeside, before the three largest and most powerful tribes, later known as the Three Families, were united and brought to power by Mr. House. Pushed out of the strip, the king and his tribe attempted to make the most of what they had been given. The king and his tribe took control of Freeside and created a relatively orderly town out of the multitude of warring gangs and tribes. The king himself admits Freeside is not much in comparison, but is simply the best of a bad situation.
Originally, we were all just tribes making a living in this area. That all changed when Mr. House came around. He made an offer to the three biggest tribes that were willing to listen to him. Today, everyone calls those tribes the Three Families, and they live in luxury and run their own casinos in the Strip. The rest of us were left to fight over the crumbs, living in the shadow of those more fortunate. Things got pretty nasty for a while, but we wanted more. A place of our own, a place where no one could tell us what to do, and we didn't want to go elsewhere to find it. So we took control of this place and made it our own. That's really all Freeside is, the best of a bad situation.
They later took up residence in the old Elvis impersonation school. They believed it was a place of worship due to the posters and holotapes all of one man, whose real name could not be found, but was only known as the King. In the upper levels of the school, they found outfits that the original king would wear and vast amounts of hair gel. The king took to school and the outfit quickly, styling himself as the king who was the big boss of the faction. Since those earlier days, the Kings have grown to become the dominant force of Freeside, fiercely independent from the New California Republic or Mr. House. However, with the growing strife in the rest of the Mojave, NCR squatters have begun moving into the King's territory, backed by the NCR. The King sees the NCR as being a potential threat, even to the point of being the devil in disguise.
The leader of the Kings, who would only identify himself as the King, voiced his displeasure, calling NCR citizens, quote, the devil in disguise.
Unlike other gangs in the Mojave Wasteland, the Kings are built on respect and do not look for their next fight or skirmish. Instead, the Kings are staunch anarchists that believe in complete personal freedom and that every man is a king in their own right.
We're different than other gangs, and not just because we dress better. We're not just a group of thugs looking for our next fight. The Kings are about an idea, you see, where every man is free to follow his own path, do his own thing, where every man is a king in his own right.
If that freedom means rampant violence in the streets, so be it. The King, and by extension the Kings, see that he has no right to trample on the freedoms of others to uphold peace. But the King has not taken into account a scenario in which he dies and has no contingency to keep the tenuous freedom that Freeside enjoys. The Kings are not as technologically developed as other factions in the Mojave, but that doesn't mean they can't hold their own in Freeside. They are almost always armed with 10mm pistols, but can also be found carrying .357 Magnum revolvers or 10mm submachine guns. They also have several lightly armored uniforms named the Jailhouse Rocker, Memphis Kid, and of course, the King's outfit. Like most grunts of minor factions though, King's gang members are absolutely no match for NCR troopers, due to their smaller weapon calibers and lack of armor. The King's right-hand man is Pacer, a childhood friend who sometimes tends to undermine his peaceful intentions. The King largely lets him do as he pleases unabated. tolerating his unscrupulous and violent tendencies towards strangers and squatters. Whatever the outcome, the king always speaks well about Pacer, despite the motives of his lifelong friend remaining unclear.
Pace? He and I grew up together around here. We've been through a lot together. There's no man I'd rather have at my side in a pinch. Don't judge him too harshly for trying to get some caps out of you. He probably took you for a squatter, looking for a place to settle down. There have been a lot of people moving into the area lately, and it's got some people riled. Can't blame them myself. There's only so much to go around.
Besides his close friends, the king also keeps two groupies closer. While not with them every night in his heart-shaped bed, the king goes on dates with both of them to the strip to visit the casinos. The king also owns a cyber dog named Rex that he bought from a prospector a few years before the events of New Vegas. Rex has always been nothing but a cyber hound, but the king has become concerned for Rex, as his brain is beginning to degrade, and he hopes that traveling with the courier will allow him to get the help that he needs to give him a little more bite and a little less bark. Once cleared by Pacer, the king can be approached and the subject of the king's dog, Rex, can be open, leading to the quest Nothing But a Hound Dog.
You seem to be awfully interested in my boy Rex here, and you've done some good work for me already. I'll tell you what, you promised to get Rexy here to that doctor, and I'll lend him to you. What do you say?
As previously mentioned, the king is also currently facing challenges, as the NCR appears to be threatening their territory.
If they're coming over here now, it's got to be for a reason. I didn't want to believe the rumors that they're looking to take over Vegas, but now...
Squatters that followed the NCR east are thought by the kings and most all of Vegas outside the strip to be a drain on already overtaxed resources. NCR troops engage in minor disputes that can be resolved in various ways to achieve a level of peace in Freeside. These events are largely played out through the faction's main quest, GI Blues. The kings claim Freeside as their own, defending it with their switchblades and pistols, not shy to make a few caps. The kings, as well as some less reputable others, offer safe escort through Freeside and will even allow the courier to refill their water canteen for a small price. Besides these few services, the kings generally follow a strict code of suave chivalry. They try to keep peace and order in the streets and do what they can to help the Freeside community. King gang members will also assist in fights against any thugs or muggers that attack civilians or the courier. Upon reaching the like status in Freeside, every time a Freeside gate is entered, one of the king's gang members will approach the courier and give a gift on behalf of the king himself, such as stem packs, bottle caps, or consumables. By all accounts, the kings are respected throughout Freeside, as interactions with the followers of the apocalypse make clear. Those residing in the old Mormon fort have nothing bad to say about the group, even going so far as to credit the king himself for the prosperity that Freeside enjoys during the time the courier works with them, assuming the courier is friendly to the faction. In the end, the courier is the one who will decide the king's future relations with all those who visit the strip. There are 13 unique outcomes that can play in the end slides that involve the kings. Outcomes range from their independence to their complete annihilation. And that wraps up the Kings of Freeside. What are your thoughts on the kings? Do you think they have a positive or negative effect on Freeside? Did you help them or hinder them? Let me know down in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe for more content.